Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm trying to learn Java completely from ChatGPT and AI. In the last video, I worked on reversing a linked list, in which I didn't really have too much of an understanding of linked lists in general, so I wasn't able to reverse it in a practical way. So the AI actually showed how to do it and creating a visual representation. Anyways, I was able to come to an understanding in between the last video from my mom, who helped me out with that. But anyways, I thought that it would be good to ask it how well things I'm doing in getting ready for an APCS test. Because obviously, I'm not actually taking an APCS test, but I'm learning Java to get ready for APCS because I'm that kind of person. So, and I'm saying that my performance had a 7 to 8 out of 10, and then actually give me a final answer. Instead of asking about that, I decided a better idea was, instead of asking questions to check my progress, it could basically try and give a pretend interview and report back on my Java skills and find my weaknesses. So I asked to ask some Java questions, but not code assignments. And then replied with questions, but then it managed to somehow give me the answers, which is something I feel like AIs do way too often. And I wonder if that's like a famous AI thing. I stopped it right there and just told it. And I was able to correct itself. Anyways, the questions for this one were: what's the difference between equals equals and dot equals? What's a constructor and what makes it different from a regular method? And what's the purpose of the static keyword? And this is my response. Java is object oriented, so strings are objects. Objects have references and strings have values such as hello world. References are basically how to find the object in memory and compares the references. And equals equals compares the references. On the other hand, dot equals compares the values. This means that two different strings with the same value would be true with dot equals but not with equals equals. Now, constructors are methods that are ran when declaring a class, declaring an instance of a class, and normally initialize the values of the variables. A class will have its private variables, but the constructor will actually take in user input when assigning these variables. It would also assign values to other abstract variables such as hash map. And for 6, I explained that Java is class-based, so all your code is in classes, including your functions, which are now your methods. In order to have these methods and use them, you have to declare an instance of the class. The static keyword allows you to avoid this. That way you don't have to create an instance of the class where the method is. And I'm telling me that I got a well done, great explanation, excellent. So Matt should compliment me on everything. I moved on to some other topics in which it would ask me some other, a little harder questions. For example, what's the difference between checked and unchecked exceptions? The advantages using interface of an abstract class, and concept method overloading and method overriding. I'm not going to answer this because I already feel like I did quite a bit. I'm kind of sick of Java for today. But at first impression, checked exception and unchecked exceptions is that basically a session is basically when something is basically an exception. For example, when you do input, you expect an integer, but somehow you got a string. And if you don't check the exception, you'll get a runtime error. If you do check the exception, you'll be able to somehow handle this. Advantage of an interface over abstract class. An interface is basically a blueprint with a bunch of data types you can later assign it. Meanwhile, abstract has the strict data types and the names and all that stuff. The advantage of using an interface is you can reuse this interface and implement it quite easily for situations that might have similar stuff but not complete work. But it's been a bit since I've done interfaces, so I probably would screw that up. And explain the concept method overloading, method overriding. Method overriding is basically if you have a class and you basically create an instance of a class. Maybe I want to change the method, I can just override the method. Method overloading, I think, is basically you can create two methods with the same name but with different parameters, which is a little confusing, but it's a neat feature. So yeah, and the reason why I'm kind of reviewing this is because I realized at the end that I wasn't recording it and my mic was not plugged in. So yeah, stupid me. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and hope you subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. Also, comment below if you wanted to explain how weakness works and how to actually reverse it, because I didn't really go over that. Anyways, bye-bye.